Hi, my name's Mark Reynolds and I'm going to give you a quick tour around Windows 8 and just show you some basics in case you're trying this out in your school and it's the first time you've used it. So first thing to say is that I'm going to be doing this demo with mouse and keyboard. Of course, if you've got some new tablet devices running Windows 8 in your school, that's great, but a lot of people might try Windows 8 for the first time by upgrading an old Windows 7 machine, an existing computer in the school, and having a play. So I'm going to show you how to do that with mouse and keyboard. First thing to say is I'm just logged on with my regular network login. So in your school you'd be logging on with the same username and password as you log on to Windows 7 or to XP before that. Okay, if you've got a set of shared devices, that's fine too, because of course this is just a PC. You can log multiple people onto the same device. So that's very, very different to having an iPad or an Android tablet that can't save back to the same locations and can't be managed in the same way as a regular computer can on your network. This is the start screen, so I'm just using the scroll wheel on my mouse to move forward. Of course there's the slide bar at the bottom if you want to do it that way. And the first thing I want to do is zoom out, which is this bottom right hand corner, just to show you what I've got on my desktop. Now apps are organized into sections. If you right click on a section you can go name group. I've got a set that I use most often called First Up. I've got a set for Office, I've got an education apps section, and then I've got some other stuff which I use, that's got games in, and Amazon for shopping and that kind of thing. Of course, if you want to change around the order of those sections, you just pick up the education section and move it. Okay, so that's really, really nice and simple. And when you're in the start screen, if you want to move the apps themselves within the sections again, you just pick them up with a left click on the mouse and move them around. So you really customize this start screen so it fits the way you want to work and has the most important stuff appearing first. I'm actually going to start showing a bit of desktop mode, which might seem a strange thing to do, but of course a lot of people in your school will be used to Windows 7 right now, and if you're going to roll out Windows 8, you want to be confident that they're going to know how to use it and still be able to do the basic things which you need them to do every day. So this is desktop mode. What I do is I pin all of my applications that I use every day or I use regularly to the taskbar here. So that makes it really easy when I just want to open files and folders, or I want to open a particular application. Of course this will be dead familiar to them, and all their documents will be organized in the same way as they were previously on Windows 7. So files and folders, if I want to browse down to my picture library, that will all be really nice and familiar and they'll work in exactly the same way as they're used to. One thing to point out on here, if you're not using any cloud storage, you should go and take a look at the SkyDrive desktop application. What that lets you do is have a local drive called a SkyDrive that then syncs up to the Microsoft Cloud. So you can drop files into it from your desktop or from your My Documents. That'll then be available from any place you get a SkyDrive. So that can be a web browser, or that can be a SkyDrive app on a tablet or on a phone. Also, obviously, this is where you'd run your regular desktop applications from. So this is, a Word document, Office 2013, but any local version of Office that you're running, you can drop into desktop mode, as you can do with any other piece of desktop software that you're already using today on Windows 7. So you don't lose anything. You can bring all your Windows 7 software with you, but of course what you get extra is all these fantastic new apps from the store. For the purposes of time, we're not going to go too deep into the store today, but this is where you go if you want to install and run new applications. So it's all organized into sections. Of course, some are free and some are paid for. There's about 3,500–4,000 apps in the education store now, so that's kind of growing all the time, and it's a really good place to go if you want to get new apps and try out some different things on Windows 8. So I'll use this store to show you for the first time how you search on Windows 8. Okay, if I move the mouse to the right hand side of the screen, it brings up these charms. Okay, and this is where the search charm is. So if I click search, what I'm going to search for is the term Oxford. Okay, so I do that because I'm in the store. It's searching the store for the word Oxford. So it's got me the Oxford Dictionary, or it's got me a Read It book that I think is done by Oxford University Press, and a whole load of different things that are driven by the search term Oxford. If I wanted though to search my computer for the word Oxford, I don't have to go back into a different app or a different way of doing things. I just click on Files. So now it's found 440 documents that are on my laptop containing the word Oxford, and then if I filter that down to pictures, let's say, apologies for any of you that like football, but where you live, where I live, there are a great deal of choices. And so that shows how you can search your local computer for files and folders. Again, that search term just stays there in the search bar. If I now want to search the internet for the word Oxford, I put it in, and now it's done a web search for that word. Okay. If I want to search the map for Oxford, I just click on the Maps application. That's really different to the way some of the other app marketplaces work. The one app does one job, and the operating system doesn't let you look across them. So if you're using an iPad, you go into one app, perform one job, you come back out. Then you go into a different app, perform one job, and come back out. This is showing how you can search across files and across applications using the Windows 8 search bar. One other thing to say, if I just open up, let's open up this Wikipedia app, is that you can have multiple apps open at the same time, and I think that's really important. So if I go and pin the Wikipedia app to the right hand side, and then I'm going to choose to have my desktop on the left hand side. This is a really nice mix of the app world that I talked to you about with a brand new, this is a Wikipedia Touch application. Obviously again I'm using it with mouse and keyboard, but you know, it works exactly the same if you're using it on a tablet. But I've mixed that with a regular desktop app. So this is a Word document that I'm doing about Oxford, and then I've got my app on the right hand side. So let's say I want to put some new information into my Word document. It's really easy just to go and say pick a block of text, and then I copy that from my app, and then I go and put it straight into my Word document. And that's something that you just can't do on other devices, and particularly on other tablets, is have two apps open running at the same time. Of course, because I'm on Windows 8, when I go to File and Save As, it just saves to that exact same location that I'm used to. I can go and put it in my Documents folder and pick the file that I'm used to back on the school server, or if I want to use cloud storage from within Office, I can save it straight up to my SkyDrive, and then that'll be available on any device. The last thing to encourage you to all to do is to have a look at some of the education apps that I mentioned already. There's lots and lots of these being brought out all the time, often that do you know, one particular job or are broad. So if I just give you one last example that we've seen used quite a lot by teachers, and this is fantastic up on an interactive whiteboard, is the Bing Travel app. So this isn't designed specifically for education, but it's a really nice example of, in this case, like a panorama view that, again, this is mouse and keyboard, works the same on touch, or works the same on a large format display. So again, because it's a Windows 8 PC, that connectivity up to a projector or to a whiteboard is going to be really easy, because it's just a PC managed in exactly the same way you're used to running your Windows 7 PCs today. So that's been a real quick tour of the basics of Windows 8 and how we think it can be used in a school. And please tune in for more next time on some specific education apps.